Hello, everybody. Here we're Ballin with Bill Dannenhauer. Special presentation from Sideline Power. It's great to be here. I have a very special guest today. A fine man, a fine coach, national championship coach. I've known Coach Strohmeier for a long, long time, ever since I don't know what he'll have to tell me about that gauntlet we used to go through in Florida when we go recruiting and we kind of work with them and share hotels and go up and down the road with Concordia at St. Paul when you were coaching there as the offensive coordinator. So, Scott Strohmeier, it's great to have you here today.
Well, appreciate you having me. And actually, I was thinking on the way, and there was those recruiting fairs in Florida.
What was that called? What was that gauntlet called? Do you remember?
I can't remember, but it was high schools. It'd go county to county. One day you meet with the kid or the high school coaches the night before, the kids the next day.
Right.
Drive to the next town
county.
And do it. And,
Yeah.
Those are the good.
Because it took about a whole week and a half.
Yeah, there was a week straight if you wanted to stay for all.
Yeah, we stayed because we'd stay down there with you guys and everything, and man, that was a gauntlet. Trying to see all them kids.
I still remember coming back from those things, and it was in February, so it was after signing day, and I had cards, 500,000 cards of kids, and I didn't even remember who any of them were.
And you talked to most of them too. You're like, which kid was this? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kids that came that they didn't get signed, but there are a lot of good athletes.
Really good players.
Yeah, I know helped you guys and helped us at Dana too. So tell me, Scott, how'd you get started in football? I mean, where'd you start? I know you're from Minnesota.
Probably the craziest. I still remember it. We got home from church. It was me and my wife. We just married. Actually, we weren't married yet, but we stopped to eat at Perkins, and I was going through the want ads, and there was a high school that was looking for just a high school part-time coach, and she actually was the one who encouraged me to, like, I should look into it. Well, I didn't have my teaching certificate or anything. I was working at Wells Fargo, and I called Coach Courier, who got me into it, and or who coached me, and he actually called Dan O'Brien, who was at Concordia St. Paul at the time, saying he's always looking for help, and there it was. I started $500 a part-time go over after I worked at Wells Fargo, and I did that for, I was fortunate 3 years as a part-time coach, and then when Shannon got the full-time job, he gave me the full-time assistant. So that's how I got into it, and probably not the usual path. I didn't have to go through the graduate assistant work.
You didn't do that part, huh? You had to do gut work.
Yep.
Probably did a little bit when you were part-time, though, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think that's where I made it. I got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, left at 2:30, and went and coached, and then even recruited for them. Some took vacation during fall camp, and put in the time that I wanted to become a coach.
Did you play ball in
I
Minnesota?
did. So I played at Fergus Falls Community College.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to University of Minnesota Crookston. That's where I met Shannon. Shannon coached me.
That's right.
Yep.
Now they still got football, don't they, Crookston?
They just dropped.
I thought they were one of the ones. I know St. Cloud dropped.
Cloud and Crookston.
Both dropped.
Yep.
Wow. I remember, I coached it. That was my first coaching job, so was St. Cloud State. So that kind of surprised me when they closed. And I thought I heard Crookston did. So, and you were quarterback for them, weren't you?
I was quarterback for them there, and we were pretty good. Well, it's funny because at our junior college at Fergus Falls, we actually lost in the state championship to Rochester Community College, and 12 of us players went to Crookston, because when I was a freshman at Fergus, I played against Crookston. They were a junior college.
Oh,
and then they moved to 4-year, and then 12 of us went up there with one of our assistant coaches.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you got in coach with Coach Courier, which I know very well too, and so tell me how that all went, because I know you were there for a while, because we ran into each other quite often before you went to Truman. So kind of tell how all that worked.
I think I was there for 8 years maybe, and they were transitioned from an NAI to the Division II level.
Right.
When I was there, and gosh, I was fortunate enough. We won enough games when Shannon became the head coach, and he was had some opportunities. I was actually offered the Concordia job at 29 years old. I was the interim coach for about 24 hours, because right after they named me, I went down to look at Sherman State with Shannon to make the decision if I was going to go there or not. I decided to take it. My only coaching spot was at Concordia, and I wanted to kind of see what else was out there. And so I joined Shannon down at Truman for a year and a half. So I was there a spring, a fall, and a spring. And and then I got the opportunity at North Iowa Area Community College, the head coaching job. I went there for 3 years. Fortunate enough to win enough games there. Didn't even know where Council Bluffs was on the on the
I remember
map.
that because I remember.
And it was funny because the job came open, and everybody's telling me like, you got to go after that job, and I'm like, I didn't even know there was a community college in Council Bluffs because they never had football.
Right.
And my brother was on my staff at NIAC, and he recruited this area, and he drove through campus, and he called me on. He's like, you better get your stuff ready. The last day I sent my stuff in, I was fortunate enough to get it, and been here for now 12 years or 11 years.
Wow. So now, I was wondering when you first were at Concordia, and that was in the North Sun. Then you go the kind of the big time of the Division II when you go to MIAA. What kind of adjustment was that for you as a coach? Because you go from playing Northern State and those schools go down to play Pitt State, Northwest Missouri State, teams that won the national championship.
Well, the thing I would say that I don't want to say that there was more dedication or resources. There was more resources put in. They had more scholarship money. But like every one of those kids stayed all summer long, and worked through it. Very few of the Northwest Missouri State, Pitt State was dominant the 1 year when we were there too, and they had 36 scholarships, but they didn't play any freshmen or sophomores. I mean, you redshirt at those schools, and here we're rolling out there, with some freshmen and sophomores, and I think we won 2 games that first year. The next year, and then I left. The next year, I think they won 3 or something, but I think they got it to 5 or 6. It's a high academic institution.
A very good idea. It's kind of
so your recruiting changes a little bit. We thought 36 scholarships in the MIAA. We recruited well to Concordia, but Kirksville, Missouri is a little bit harder to get to than Concordia, St. Paul.
Right.
Flying kids in, and then any kid in the state, you're battling. Northwest Missouri State,
Central Missouri.
Yeah. Washburn gets in there. There's some good teams in there.
Right, and your academic standards, I think, were the highest in the conference that time. When you look at Pitt State, Northwest Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, it took us out of a lot of kids.
Right.
Because they went on a scale, like you had to have your class rank, then they ranked you on your ACT, and then there was something else, and you had to add the 3 up, and it was pretty tough to get to.
You lost some probably good athletes.
Really good players.
Yeah.
That we had to play against.
They ended up going in that conference. I know it. Some good football in that conference.
Really good coaches. That was the other thing, you see, and there was good coaching in the Northern Sun too, but their staffs were bigger. They had more graduate assistants. So I mean, it was just a step up in Division II.
Yeah, it's not that far for 1AA, to be honest, other than the scholarships.
Sure.
But they treat it about the same, I think, down there. Yep. You guys do. So you get the job at Northern Sun. What did you take? You've learned a lot because I know Shannon real well too. So what did you take from all the coaches and yourself? And when you went to Northern Sun, how did you start it? How did you put in your plan and all the things that you wanted to do? Because you had some success there at NIAC too before you came over here to Council Bluffs.
And that one was tough just because we were not, like, NIAC was not great, and they didn't fund it extremely well. So I got some young coaches, and we recruited our tails off, and by the last year that I was there, we were taking those kids. In the past, they would all go to Iowa Central, every single one of the in-state kids. And now it's kind of like at Iowa Western, we're getting most of those Iowa kids, but, just building relationships. And, I only coached under Shannon. I think the number one thing that I learned from him is you got to outwork people, and
he's a worker.
And we did at Concordia. We were on track at Truman. So that's all I've known. We're going to spend as much time as we can throughout the week to prepare our kids, the off season, trying to learn football whenever we can. And like I said, surround yourself with some good people. And now, it's a little bit different, because there's ways some guys are just grinders. And, now that I'm a head coach and I have a family and some of my coaches have families, I want to take that and, hey, okay, guys, we can get our work done. If we just manage our time throughout the day, we don't have to be there till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So try to put them all together. So I don't want to say that we don't work as much. We're a little bit more efficient.
Good. Well, I know you've had some good staff people there.
Yeah. I mean, without that, there's no way. My brother was with me 3 years at NIAC, and then he was with me 6 years at Iowa Western. My D coordinator was with me at NIAC. He's still with me today. So when you can have your core group, and I don't think I lost a coach until 2012. Of my full-time coaches
your-
when I was here.
I know that's one thing I've always been amazed about you is how you've kept your staff together, because it's hard to do, because they're trying to move up and stuff and get bigger salaries, and they're trying to get their name made, and it's hard to a lot of times keep your staff members at junior college and small college.
Well, and I think, maybe that was, I went to school for business, and I always had the philosophy, if they like working for you, there's a good chance they'll stay. If they don't like working for you and you make it miserable on them, they're looking for every opportunity they can. And I've had lots of guys move on to other jobs.
Oh, I
and be
know
really
some good
successful.
jobs, yeah.
And the thing is, Iowa Western's a good place to work. And then I try to give them their time. That it's like I said, we don't have to be in the office 7 days a week. There's times where we do, but in the off season, I give them some time. If you got to take off during the day, you can take off during the day. And so when you can have that decent lifestyle and doing what you love to do, I think it keeps them around.
That's good, because you've kept some very good coaches, and they've gone elsewhere and been successful too. So that's a credit to you, Coach.
Well, I appreciate that.
So tell me, what's your philosophy? Your football, your coaching, your mantra? Because I've watched you have a lot of success, but I'm always interested in your philosophy and everything like that.
Well, I think I've always, I hate to use the word players coach. I just don't necessarily know if that's the right word, but I think that you gotta, especially now, it's like before you think you could change everybody as a young coach and you got it all figured out, and as you go, it's getting a little bit harder. That you have to become more of a players coach, so to speak, and make it fun for them. It's not like when we grew up that we were outside playing football all the time, practicing 3 times a day. And 2 a days, and hitting.
We had 3 a days.
Yeah, hitting every single day in practice.
Well, we did. Yeah.
That you can't do that anymore. So I think my philosophy is we tried to do a little bit of research on it to lighten the load for the kids, so we're not out there for 3 hours all the time. Make it enjoyable. Most coaches have an open door policy, but I want the players to come in and be around, and it's more than just coach. Where I get after them from time to time, but they also know that they can come in and we may not even talk football. And I think if you can have that type of atmosphere, for the most part, our kids know when they come here they're going to get a chance to play, and if they're not playing, they're going to know why they're not playing, and nobody can say that they didn't get an opportunity once they left. Now, they may not all leave happy because some of them didn't play as much as they thought.
Right.
They can't say they never got a chance, or we misled them or lied to them, I think, is the biggest thing. You got to be honest today and with the kids and let them know where they're at, and sometimes it's tough, but I think they'll respect that as you go along.
I know that you've been very successful. You have a lot of the same philosophies. Maybe not as crazy as I do on offense, but you have a lot of the same philosophies. So tell us about your offensive philosophy and what you try to accomplish each and every week.
Well, I think number one, you have to evolve, and you have to be flexible, because just like I only get these kids for 1 year or 2 years, so you can have your 2-back power football team, but if you don't have a running back or any offensive line or whatever, you better be able to adapt. I've had athletic quarterbacks that weren't great throwers. I've had true pocket quarterbacks. I've had dual threat guys that can do both pretty good. And I think you have to now, where I do it offensively is, okay, who's going to be my starting quarterback? Where my starting quarterback is, what are his strengths? And so our offense is, you're always going to have your base philosophies, but you got to be able to adapt to their strengths. And I think that's one of the things that we've done, over the years, is try to tweak it towards our quarterback. But you got to go out and learn and look. And I would say maybe a little bit of an offensive junkie, that I'm always, I'm the guy who's always, I saw this play, I like this one, let's do some research, and add a whole bunch of stuff. So I've kind of, through the years, I needed someone to kind of rein me back a little bit. But really, my philosophy is put your offensive game plan together based on your personnel. I mean, we've won, in 2013, maybe it was 2015, we won our bowl game with our 4th-string quarterback, who was 5'6". He didn't play hardly all year. Last year we had to win our last 2 games in a bowl game, and against Highland Community College with my number 3 quarterback that didn't play any snaps all year. And so our offense changed dramatically from what we were at the beginning of the season to where we were at the end of the season with those 2 guys.
Wow, that's credit.
And then play good defense. You got good defense, now you're all right.
Yeah, you're
We've
right.
been playing pretty good D too.
Well, that kind of what is how do you always match your defense? Because I mean, I've seen you be wide open on offense, and seen you also run a lot of the RPOs, and I've seen you then be some power depending on your, like you said, your personnel.
Yep.
How do you? Because you've always been very successful on defense. So how do you? I know your D coordinator's been with you a long time. So how has he adjusted with you all these years?
And one of the things I let him coach on D. Like I don't. If he has questions, he'll come to me. Maybe when he was, his first couple of years, but even then, there's going to be just trying to groom into that position. But that was always my philosophy, and why I've been so fortunate to have him is because I don't have to have, like, I may, make a suggestion here or there, but I let him coach, and I think he enjoys that, where he doesn't have to worry about, if you give up a touchdown, I'm not in your ear. If you blow something, I'm not in your ear. Like, I trust that we're going to play good, and we recruit well on D, and he keeps it fairly basic, and just lets his kids play, and they're across the board from our DBs, linebackers, and D line. I'll put my defensive coaches up against anybody at any level that in staffs that I've seen or been a part of. I mean, they're good football coaches.
That's
Technique.
Yeah. Oh, I think teaching and technique are the number one things out there,
sure.
no matter what you do.
Well, even at our level, because we don't get them that long. So I mean, you really have to, sometimes coaches.
You don't think about things. You don't get them for 4 years.
No.
I mean, they can be 1 and gone, 2 and gone, 3 and gone, depending on what you get and what you bring in.
And that's where a lot of the kids, when we bring them in, and where I think we are better in some other junior colleges, you can bring this talented kid in, but if he doesn't have any fundamentals, you may get by, you may win a couple games, but you're not going to be great, and so I think we're at like 61 former Iowa high school players that had no Division I offers out of high school, came to us and ended up going Division I, and that's because A, I think they get overlooked a little bit, but B, they developed. They weren't ready as high school seniors, but they were as
when they left the
junior
program.
college, sophomore.
How do you develop them as a staff? I mean, that's because I know you've had a lot of success placing those kids.
Well, and I think a lot of that is, everybody's probably doing their off-season trainings and things like that. But, now we got a strength coach, where in the past I had one of my assistants be the strength coach. So now it's been really nice. Like this fall, I've had 2 coaches, our head strength coach, and then I had another guy who was helping us out already. They have taken the players and done their speed and agility work in the weight room, because they're going to get stronger. So it's really athletically how you're going to develop them. And now with the indoor facility, we're able to do a little bit more of development of the players. But really, I think it's the off-season program, and then really stressing the fundamentals on offense and defense.
Yeah, they built your new facility, which is nice. Did they build a weight room over there too? Or
there is one, but we don't use that one a lot. They redid our other one.
Right, and then in your coaching facility.
Yes, and so we now, in the past, we could only get like 24 guys in the weight room at one time. It gets challenging when you have 180.
Right.
How many times you can lift. So that's the other benefit. We can get 40 in there. Maybe even more, but we'll probably limit it to 40, and now they can lift longer.
That's very good. So now, on your philosophy, recruiting-wise, because like you said, you recruit to have 180 kids on your team, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. Now, do you play JV schedule too?
We do. We play 4 or 5 games against a lot of the Nebraska NAI schools.
With the GPAC.
Yep.
So, what is your recruiting class like? Because I know that's one thing. When I used to coach against you, you could just get kids to come there and be part of your program, which I thought was very cool.
Well, I think it all comes down to relationships, and the kids and parents feel like you're genuine, going to take care of your kids. I'm not. I tell them when they're on a recruiting visit, what you see is what you're going to get. I mean, I'm not going to change like some people can put on a recruiting face.
Right.
And again, you don't. It's changed because kids nowadays want to hear they want to be named the starter. And if you're honest with them right up front, and our program sells itself now, I think that's one of the reasons. But we really have made a lot of hay with the diamonds in the rough, the guys that maybe are a little under-recruited, got a chip on their shoulder a little bit, that want to come in and prove people wrong. And that's why the state of Iowa is extremely important to us, because we have limits. But we've done a really, really good job, and I think it's growing in the Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, and the border states, to getting those kids that maybe only have Division II scholarships, but they want to see if they can play higher. They want to see if they can get a Division I scholarship. So we're getting those, and you just had one from Bellevue West have an interception at Kansas on TV last weekend, and so the more that we're getting some of those kids out, the better our chances we're going to be with them. But there's not a lot of rocks unturned anymore with Huddle and all the video stuff that's out there and
Right.
social media platforms that, I could see someone offer, like Iowa Western, blessed to receive an offer from Iowa Western. Well, just about every JUCO in the country is going to see that. Now they can recruit them. They might not ever been to California. So it's a little bit, that's why it's about, you got to have relationships. And over 14 years now of junior college coaching, I've built a lot of them with four-year schools and high school coaches that are still around, so they know what type of program we run.
That's good. That's one thing I've always been impressed with is how you've built that. What was it like as you went to NIAC and then you started that from scratch? What it was like starting that from just nothing? I mean, they had other sports, but they did not have football when you showed up on campus.
I always tell people I would never do it again to start up one, but at the same time, it would be a lot easier because I was never really, besides 3 years being a head coach and everywhere I went, all their equipment was already there. I just had to replace some things,
right.
Where from the beginning it was an absolute whirlwind. I didn't even know where to start when I got there. Fortunately, they allowed me to bring, my brother Mike with me from NIAC, Mike Blackburn with me from NIAC, ended up Corey Brown coming with me from NIAC, Jeff Monty with me from NIAC. So I had those guys really hammered the recruiting that first class.
Yeah.
While we're trying to get shoulder pads and
because you practice facility, they didn't have any of that stuff.
No locker room.
Where were you locker when you first came?
There was an old maintenance shed that we turned into it. It was our own building. We had 2 offices, a meeting room, equipment room, and then our locker room. Nothing fancy. We made it, big time. And
right.
But it was our own little space. And gosh, if you'd have told me that we would have won as many games as we had, having shown those guys that as our facility, but the kids. They came here because they wanted to win and move on to the next level. It wasn't so much facilities. Now,
well, now you got a Taj Mahal out there.
So now, the biggest thing is going back to somebody in the recruiting is, and there's been a couple years where maybe your recruiting's changed based on because you won a national championship. What is it going to take to win another one? We got to get more talented here. And you kind of steer away from what got you there. And we ended up going 6-6, and it was probably an eye-opening for me and my staff, really myself, because I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but we were getting the kids that we wanted, and other people pumped a whole bunch of money more into their program, and they were gradually starting to get some kids, and then we took some transfers that maybe they were talented, but they didn't fit Iowa Western football. Ultimately, we go 6-6, and we revamped everything and went back through what got us to where we were, and that's focusing on the Midwest. Focus on the Midwest and the border states.
And then you bring in pluck here and there when you get transferred out. Yeah, I know you, and I remember that one year when you won that your first national championship year. I come out and watch you guys play. You had some hosses, coach.
Yeah.
You had a defensive end with Oklahoma State, and you had some guys that could just. Bring it up.
On that team, we had Omaha North. We had the kid from Lincoln.
Right. You had some good kids.
Our entire offensive line was from the state of Iowa. Our quarterback was from Iowa. One of our second leading receiver was from Iowa.
Right.
So we had some. Actually,
we
had
nice
a D lineman.
You had some good homegrown
another
kids.
D lineman from Norfolk too. So. It was just a bunch of just tough blue collared kids, and then you filter.
They were aggressive.
A couple big time players around them, and it was a special year, for sure.
Oh, it was. You had a night. You went undefeated that year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
average like 63 a game or something like that. Put up 80 on 1-2 games in the 70s.
No, and you weren't given that much on defense either. What was?
No,
They averaged about 10, 12 points a game.
Somewhere around there. We were really, really good.
No, I was one of the best junior college. Because I remember in Coffeyville back in the day when I was playing at UNO, they were real. That's when Dick Foster was there, and they were real. That's what that team reminded me. Just a dominant football team.
Yeah, on offense, I think 10 10 of our 11 starters went to Division One. Now, two of them were freshmen that year, but they went after that. So we had some
You had
players.
some kids. You had some nice players. And they did a nice job running your system.
Yeah. And that was
they were
when,
good leaders too. I mean, there was good leadership. I was on the long
Yeah.
side. I thought there was good leadership with those kids.
And that was when like the Oregon, Scott Frost, high tempo stuff was really, coming in. I think we implemented in 2011. We went to Oregon, got some of how we could tweak some things, and we were talented, but B, we were just playing so fast.
You were.
I still remember one game that year. We played everybody twice, and we were scoring. I think we scored on every opening drive. We punted some games maybe once or never. And I can't remember if we were playing Iowa Central. The second time we beat them like 73-6 or something in the first game. The second time, the first drive, it was third. They got a third down stop, and I thought they won the game because we had to punt.
First time they punted against them, right? Yeah. Oh shoot! So now how's this year been, Coach? This has been a whole different. I mean, I couldn't imagine when I was coaching how you planned and adjusted to this year.
It's been crazy, honestly. I don't even know. Every day was new. I've been up, I've been down. Thinking we're going to play. First of all, hiring a coach, an offensive coordinator, hiring a coach, then coming in to start spring ball, and then 3 days before we're supposed to start, or a week before we're supposed to start, they shut the campus down. I'm thinking, okay, we'll get them back in June,
right?
So we can go through some practices. Nope. We finally got the okay to bring them in July. Still thinking we're going to play. Revamped our schedule, and then all of a sudden they said we're canceling the season. So now I got all these kids on campus, trying, and them not knowing, me not knowing what we can even tell them. So we really took it. I haven't had a team meeting in a meeting room except for the indoor where they're spread out all over. With the team, so we can't really implement all the things program-wise that we do. So it's been really challenging, from that. I'll give our kids a lot of credit, though. And even when we started practice, we got 60 days. They shut us down for 14 just because it wasn't positive tests. It was just the contact tracing and the quarantine kids, and they didn't want that contact. But our kids came back, and they all but maybe practice. I thought they came with the intensity that they were getting ready to play a game. So
That's good.
It was pretty good.
Did you get a chance to scrimmage anybody before?
We didn't. We just scrimmaged ourselves. So we ended doing. I think we got 3 total, scrimmages, which I think last Thursday we finished with 92 plays or something like that, and really got to look. I just feel bad for some of my sophomores who needed this fall in order to go on to the next level of the film. So some of them might have to come back, and we don't know eligibility yet. We don't know.
Have they made a decision like they have in NCAA yet for you guys yet?
Nope. So I think that's this Thursday. I think is they're voting on how they're going to do it eligibility wise. The Division I recruiting's banned until January 1st. So
they can't come into your school right now.
So it's really been crazy. I don't know what to tell some of these kids, but just keep taking it day by day, and we'll help you if we can, and make the decision. If you can come back, you come back.
Yeah, because some of them probably gonna have a chance to get recruited, right?
Yeah. We already have, I think, 4 that are committed, and they're not going to play regardless in the spring. And then I was telling you earlier, we could have anywhere from 15 to 20 more that won't play for us. They'll get a scholarship someplace to go. Some of them will accept the D2 or accept an FCS just because there's so much uncertainty.
Oh, I know it. Because they want to play here and stuff like that. So, well, that's interesting. I mean, that to me always seems to be a new challenge for me, because let's be honest with you, like we talk around here. I mean, we've never been through all my life. I've been through a lot of different things in my life, ups and downs, but never been anything close to something like this. I had to adjust to it day to day.
Yeah. I never thought I would have to either.
Yeah.
But it's been.
They never do this in Coaching 101.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And it's my whole philosophy through it all and I tried to stress to my staff, is we got to do everything in our power to get kids on campus so they can take some classes here and keep the campus open.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you shut down everything, and everybody, are we looking for jobs? Are we getting furloughed or whatever it is? So I thought my staff did a really good job of really getting through those times, and we're a little over a month away from finishing a successful semester, and then I'm nervous because these kids need more than just online classes, and they had in person one day a week, so if they whatever class 1 day a week they were in person. Not enough still, but better than all online.
Right.
I agree. And our kids need that. Some of them are good enough students to handle it, but myself,
some of them need that interaction with the professor.
I wouldn't have been a college grad with online classes.
No,
I promise you that.
I don't know if I'd have done any of the work.
Oh.
When you go to class, they make you do the work, and you have to turn everything in. It's a whole different experience.
100%.
But so now this spring, how many? So what's the plan for this spring for junior? Because I know Mississippi, like we were talking earlier, is playing, so they'll be out of the picture for the spring for junior college and the bowl game and stuff. So
it's going to be interesting. So we get to start practice March 1st. So our camp March 1st, and we start March 25th.
Pretty quick. That's pretty quick.
And so the concerning thing I had is when we got our kids back this summer, there is no chance we were going to be able to play. It was going to be unsafe to play because the kids haven't done anything in 5 months. They say they're lifting and working out, but it's different. It took us a while, even through spring. We're not in very good shape still. And you're talking injuries and all this.
You've seen it in the NFL and Division I, both.
Now we're going to give them November 24th till March 1st, before we can do football. Now January, so December, about 6 weeks, they're going to be home, and then they're going to come back. So we got 5 weeks in January that we're going to do. The first week we're just going to kind of gradually get them back into shape, and then we're going to amp it up like we would into July. And then we'll start practice March 1st and play 8-game schedule. 1 open day out of that, so 9 weeks, but 8 games. And, we're playing, so we play Iowa Central twice, we play Ellsworth twice. We play a team in Shreveport, Louisiana, team in Utah Snow College, and Utah Arkansas Baptist, and Northeast Oklahoma. So we have to be a little bit creative in our schedule because we're not having the agreement with Kansas right now. And
that hasn't been redone.
No, and partly because of this, we can only play 8 games, and they have 9 teams or whatever it is.
So you have to rekindle it the following year, then, right?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, but I don't know. I felt we put together as good a schedule as anybody could have, probably, with Snow College and NEO, rather than some other, could have found some prep schools or something like that to play. So we'll see.
NEO and those are both good programs, so good challenges for your team.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, I really appreciate your time today. It was interesting to see how you're doing. I know you've been working your rear off, you and your coaches have, to get through this time, and I wish you luck and hope you have a successful spring.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all you do too, and we got the dial of downs, and the down markers, and those 2 drones are still flying, so we're doing okay.
Keep going. We always wish you luck here at Sideline Power. We appreciate
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know how we finish it, right? You didn't see this yet? Remember, he's a pro wrestler.
No body slamming.
No, you're going to do the hush, man. The hush. That means I wanted food or money. Not necessarily in that order. 1, 2, 3. Hush! 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 Thanks, Coacher.